Hey guys, Brent Hull Build Show, talking today about my book. I am days away from turning it in, and here are sample chapters and sample things that I'm getting final reads on and stuff like that. So a lot of work has gone into this, and I missed my deadline many times. Thankfully, the publisher has been great. What you're going to find in this book is that basically I have collected pattern books and catalogs, and the resources that I've used are pattern books like Asher Benjamin, Beatty Langley, Abraham Swan. These are guys from the 18th century, late 18th century, early 19th century that were writing about building. And they were architects, builders that were writing how-to books for builders. So I'm trying to, in this period of 1740 to 1940, I have a resource for each one of those periods. And so by taking each different element, doors, windows, moldings, we're going to look at how they were made, what they looked like, how things changed over time. Millwork is very expressive. Millwork is very communicative. And so it tells the story. I feel, I've said before, I can reach my hand into the past and grab any molding and go, oh yeah, that's a Victorian molding. Oh yeah, that's an arts and crafts molding, because they are so communicative. But there's four things that I've learned. There's four takeaways that I walk away from this book going, wow, cool, awesome. I learned so much. One, the whole process was, fun for me because I got to dig into pattern books like I've never done before. The first lesson I've learned is how much these historic builders knew. I mean, I look at Asher Benjamin. Asher Benjamin was the first American pattern book author, and he wrote a number of books, and he's got, his samples on the different orders of architecture and how moldings should look. But the math that he goes into and the Euclidean geometry that he describes makes me wish I knew more. Makes me wish I could take those rules of geometry and turn them into crafting a volute for a column, or for, building a front door, or for, working in these different architectural styles that is so interesting and cool. So the level of knowledge is the most humbling thing, because I look at the master builders of what they knew 200 years ago, and sometimes they go, those guys didn't know anything. I've got a smartphone. Really, those guys knew so much about building and so much about crafting that it's humbling. Two, the importance and emphasis on proportion, especially in the pre-industrial era. Here's an example. This is a Beatty Langley plate. And basically on the outside you see 19 parts, okay, the part of the orders, and then 6 parts below. And so what they've done is he's drawing up what a mantle should look like and an overmantle, but by giving you the numbers on the side and on the bottom, he's really explaining how the proportions work, okay? So instead of just crafting a mantle, instead of just saying, oh yeah, build it, and put this around it, and there's some carving and stuff, it's really about the proportion and scale. And everything, okay, in these ancient books is about, especially before 1850, and especially in the 18th century, you have these pattern book authors that the doors, it's a 2-to-1 relationship. The windows, the size of the door casing, the height of the column, the size of the entablature, the mantle, every single thing that would go into a house was proportioned. And you wonder why you walk into those historic houses and go, I don't know why I like it so much, but I like it. It's because those proportions, and they understood the scale, and they were able to take the Greek and Roman orders, bring them together, and design and build beautiful things all around proportion and scale. So if you're going to learn one skill today, look to the past, learn about that proportion and scale. Third thing is just what technology did to millwork. Really, the book is separated into a pre-industrial, pre-1850 era and a post-industrial. And the power of that technology is overwhelming. We did a video here about the railroad and what the railroad did to that house in Granbury, and that you had these handmade, handcrafted mantles in 1881 when it was built. The railroad comes, let's say 5-8 years later, and by 1891 when they do a remodel, they've got this quarter sawn oak, crazy mantle that came in on the railroad. And so what happened? Technology, okay, sped things up so fast that you have a mantle that looks like it's from the 1850s, 1860s, it's handmade, handcrafted, a little bit crude, local craftsman, to something that was precision milled, veneers, quarter sawn white oak, all these crazy things, all because of technology. technology changed everything about building, and the quality of building that was done before that era, when you consider the scale and proportion and things like that, and what technology does to things, 30, 40, 50 years later, is amazing. I mean, so much so that the reason I stopped the book at 1950 is because then you get to aluminum windows, now you get to hollow core doors, things that I don't really consider millwork, right? And so the world changes. And so we've got a period of time where the power of technology really influences and really changes stuff. And then the last thing is just the power of millwork. In today's modern houses where sometimes there aren't moldings, sometimes there are very few, the power of moldings that convey style, convey taste, convey craftsmanship, that has been, I think, lost. And in this modern minimalistic white box era that we're in, we really need moldings to help define doorways. And the whole idea of punctuation. Punctuation was that if you had a door 36 inches wide, there was a proportion, of course, for the size of the door casing so that it would punctuate that opening properly, so it would communicate where to go. And so the power of millwork, the power of molding to really change our spaces, to really change our things, is the reason why I wrote the book, is the reason why I'm excited for you to look at it and get it in your hands and really learn from the past, learn from what was going on so that you can build better today. As far as when this book is going to be available, I'm turning it into the publisher, God willing, next week. They need about 8 to 9 months to turn it around. So we're really talking late 2024, early 25 before this book's available. But we'll keep you informed of all the information, where you can find it, how you can order it. I appreciate you guys and your support, cheering me on as we go through this process. I'm Brent Hull. Thanks for watching.